You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is director of photography and co-editor of this wonderful documentary or wonderful film, not a documentary. It feels like a documentary because it's a true story, entitled "Triumph of the Heart," and it's Andrew Holzschuh. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. This is such Uh, when I saw the trailer for this, I knew immediately I wanted to cover this film because anything to do with the Holocaust and World War II, it's near and dear to my heart. And it seems like more than ever, there's more and more movies and or documentaries coming out about the Holocaust and World War II. And you always wonder why now? But I think now is the perfect time for these stories to be coming out. So our audience knows. Can you tell the audience what Triumph of the Heart is all about?
Yeah, Triumph of the Heart is it is the story of Saint Maximilian Kolbe. He was a Catholic priest who was sentenced to Auschwitz. He was a famous priest in Poland, and then in a lineup when there was one prisoner who escaped, the Nazis would uh, line up the people in that cell block. They would pick 10 people at random and put them in a starvation cell. Um, One of the men was pleading for his life, saying that he was a father and a husband. And Maximilian stepped out of line and offered to take his place, and the commandant actually accepted. So our film actually starts with that scene, and it's yeah, it throughout the time in the cell, he he convinces one by one the men to join him in singing psalms and having hope for something beyond this world, something transcendent. And this is a real story. Though we don't know the 9 men, we know nothing about the 9 other men that he died with. When you take the tour at Auschwitz, this is one of the stops. The tour will take you uh, uh, by his cell. And the firsthand accounts that we have from survivors, from soldiers who were running the camp, was that he led these men in hymns through song. Like you could hear through the cell window these songs. So it's a beautiful story, obviously in a harrowing context, but it's really a story about hope.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, and it is a beautiful story. Even though it's about a difficult topic, it does give you triumph of the heart. It is exactly.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
perfect
right in
title.
there.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know if you're really into World War II and everything. I'm sure you know Triumph of the Will, the play on words with the name of this film. The Triumph of the Will was a famous propaganda film made by the Nazi Party, and so it's right in the word. Their whole philosophy is right in the name of that, like triumph with will. And the truth of our world, of the universe we exist in, is that actually triumph is in love, and it's in the human heart.
Yes. And boy, do we need that message more than ever, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We have such a divisive country right now and world that we really need
Yeah.
those messages of love more than ever. How did you get involved with this film, Andrew?
Yeah, actually, it was me, Anthony, the director, and Cecilia, the producer. The three of us, or rather, Anthony wrote this short film and then roped me and Cecilia into making a short film on this story back in 2017. We put that short film out in 2018, and it had a really good response. And then in 2022, in the winter, he gave me the script. And to be honest, having had worked with him before and seeing the intentionality and honestly bring kind of a pastoral presence to a film set, which I had never seen except for him. At the time, he was the only director I knew. I'm like, I will be your DP. Like, I am a bit of a director mind myself and have my own ambitions, like to write and direct. But I was like, yeah, whatever you got, like, just I'm on board. And so yeah, early on I had hesitations. Once I actually read the whole script, it was very ambitious. This is a subject matter that, the biggest question I had was like, how are we going to do this? Because it has to be of a certain caliber of excellence. We're carrying the torch of one of the biggest atrocity in modern history. And so, but we figured it out. We didn't know what we were doing. This is all three of us. This is our debut feature, and I don't know. I have a ton of gratitude on all the people who came to support us and make it happen. I think this script kind of speaks for itself. It comes from a lot of heart, and it comes from real pain and suffering, and it translates that into hope and love through this person who actually really existed.
Yeah, and he became a saint after
Mhm.
this. Can we talk a little bit about Saint Maximilian? Is that it, Colby? Can we
Yes,
a little
yeah,
bit about
Maximilian
him?
Kolbe.
Uh,
Yeah. He was a friar. He he had a famous radio station, a famous magazine. He was kind of one of those people in Poland that everybody knew who he was, and so he kind of had at that time, what Auschwitz was used for was to it was the Polish resistance. So like you had prisoners of war there, um, but a lot of political and spiritual leaders and cultural leaders. These were the people that the Nazis targeted to destroy the culture, to destroy the people of Poland. Yes, Jews were absolutely in there, and there was, there were ghettos and all of that. But there was this broader sense of like, we need to destroy the country's identity as a whole. And so Colby, obviously not being Jewish, but and he actually, I believe, he and his brothers did help Jews at the time, but before they were. I don't believe that was the primary purpose of him ultimately being sent to Auschwitz, um, but honestly, that's the details of his life before Auschwitz uh, are lesser in my mind. They're a little bit more fuzzy. I did all the research before, but what I know the most is the time when he was in Auschwitz, and um, he had to he was very all about the media, the magazine, the power of radio, the power of story, and broadcasting his faith through that. And he, when entering Auschwitz, all of that obviously was taken away from him. He had to find a way to broadcast what he believed in through his actions, which I actually think are more powerful, and have spoken the most to me, is hearing these firsthand accounts or reading about them, about things that he would try to do in the camp to provide hope. And though a lot of what's in the cell, it 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 it's accurate to the essence. There's a lot of fact-based things in here. I mean, Anthony did a ton of research on this, but and there's as much historical accuracy as we can possibly have. At the same time, you have to be the historian, but also the storyteller, and you have to, with a movie, you have to adjust certain things to kind of fit in the flow of things. But overall, I think we did his story justice. I think it's accurate to the accounts that we have, in essence, in that they really did, they resisted against the Nazis by singing. I don't know what your question was. I kind of started to ramble there.
No, it's great. It's great. Yeah, so much to talk about. The cruelty. I mean, that's the thing that, it really sticks with you is how cruel the Nazis were. And you see it
Mm,
in almost every single movie that's about World War II. So,
yeah.
I mean, and when you see it, over and over again, you have to believe that is the truth of how they did treat everyone. Obviously, when you're
Hmm.
taking people into
Yeah.
gas chambers, it's very cruel. But the commander in this film, talk a little bit
Mhm.
about him as a historical figure.
Yeah, yeah, that was maybe I can't speak a ton on story specifics because Anthony did all the very detailed research. I know that I continue to be surprised. I'm like, oh wait, I didn't know that actually happened. There Karl Fritsch was the commandant at the time, and this was a real person. He did, normally if you stepped out of line like Colby did, you were shot immediately. It was just a matter of fact. And uh, he he kind of said like stop. I want to hear this guy. Or he said, "What do you want, Polish pig?" I believe are the actual words he said. And we have a ton of accounts of this event because it was out in this area where everyone saw. And he accepted. Colby came and asked, I'll take his place. I'm a priest. Like he's a father and a husband. Take me. And he obliged, which was like kind of breaking his own rules. So it was a bit of a, I guess you could say, like an experiment to him of like, oh, okay, you think you're so high and mighty, like let's see how you do in the starvation cell. It's cruel. Yeah, the Nazis were like consumed with evil. I think something that I'll say about uh, how Fritsch is conveyed, and Chris who plays him, it was kind of hard on set. It was like he's like a really sweet person, but he plays this so well. I think actually his personality in person is so intentional and so like he's just a very thoughtful person, and so he brought that into this character that was had a very dark system of rules. But this man still loved his family, and he believed in this ideology of triumph through power, through might, will, and he wanted to pass that along to his children. He believed in it, even though that sounds very dark. But I think though we don't have like any accounts of Colby interacting with Fritsch beyond that first interaction, um, you know, throughout the film, and I believe just in real life, the interactions that he did have with the Germans, with anyone, it didn't matter what they were wearing, whether it was striped prisoner uniforms uh, or a swastika. He cared for every human being as as a human life that has capability of loving, even if their heart is completely clouded by hate. There's always that spark of the potential to live and love uh, in every person. And uh, I believe Colby saw that potential, saw that desire to have empathy for even his enemy, and not really see his fellow human beings as enemies, but to see the hate as enemy, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, uh, yeah, I don't know. I forgot what the question. I'm forgetting what your questions are, and
Sorry.
I'm rambling a bit more than I usually do on this.
You're doing great, Andrew. You're doing great.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, you do. You look at this and you go, how, man's inhumanity, it's just, it just boggles your brain sometimes. And that's why these films, your film is so important for people to see because it shows, everything's light and dark, and this, gives us hope and love and all of that. And watching something that was so horrific, a horrific chapter in our history. But this, Saint Kolbe, stepping in, and he's so beautifully portrayed in this film. You want to talk a little bit about the actor that plays him?
Yeah, Marcin Kwaszna is a wonderful person. He was the best person I could think to play Colby. Truly, he. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. Honestly, I mean, it's as simple as that. I, I mean, I've watched the film in the editing room. I don't know how many hundreds of times, all the way through, and it's kind of become, um, having like researched the actual person and read the accounts and everything, but then um, having his, Marchin's very connected to Maximilian Kolbe, and like spiritually. And so he knows all about him. He knew all about him already, and so this was kind of like it felt like kind of a divine connection. Of course, I'm really speaking into something that was really all Marchin and Anthony. Like Anthony directed them so well, and it was uh, yeah, I don't know. I have more words for the like than I can fit into this podcast of like things I can say about uh that. I guess one thing I'll say in general, this is not really about Marchin, but just I think a interesting thing that I think really shaped all of the actors is the space, the sacred space that was kind of created in that cell, but in on any of the sets, even the commandant's house, where we filmed some scenes there with his family. Um, Anthony started each shoot day with prayer and meditation.
Mm.
And this isn't an all Catholic or all Christian cast and crew. I'm not Catholic personally, although I love being around Catholics. I love the stories of the saints, and it's all awesome to me. But everyone showed up, regardless of their worldview, their political view. It didn't matter. This kind of being led in this intentionality, this prayer and meditation, and Anthony bringing us into the space that he was asking the actors to come into, this very vulnerable space. And yeah, I mean, by the end of the prayer, you start hearing like sniffles from around the room, and it's like you felt it. You felt a sacred space. And we had rules like, as much as possible, of course, like some of our crew had to use certain apps on their phone or different things for schedules and stuff, but I mean, we were please don't be on your phone, don't be texting or anything. Like when you come onto set, like, around the corner where we have like crafty and all that, you can be on your phone over there, you can text or whatever. But this is a silent place. This is we treated that place honestly as like kind of like a reverent church service of sorts, maybe ecumenical. Like it wasn't necessarily, in a way like any specific church. It was, although this story is very rooted obviously in like the Catholic faith, with Maximilian being Catholic, and I think it shines a beautiful light onto, I think, the beauty that we have to glean from Catholic culture and practices, and to see like someone like him just practice out his faith with such obedience to a spirit of unconditional love towards people. That's really hard for us to do. Okay, sorry, rambling again.
No,
Next question.
well, Angie, I think that's, it's that's so beautiful, that he created that. Um, created that sacred space, in the filming of this, and that's what shines through on the screen, because all of those things come through, and so it's not a mistake that it's a beautiful film. I do want to talk to you about, because you were the director of photography,
Yes.
and you also co-edited it, and you did many things. You wore many hats on this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
But for me, what was the music is absolutely beautiful. So I do want to get into that, the score of the film, but the lighting to me, there were so many beautifully lit scenes in this. There was that golden light that kind of, permeated
Yeah.
throughout the film. And since you were
Yeah.
part of that, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, well, gosh, what would you like to know? What would you like to know first? There's so much.
Creating, I mean, just creating that too. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always fascinated when you're watching a film, about lighting and the cinematography, obviously, and how did those visions, how do you get those visions, when you're going to shoot a film? You don't always know what you're going to
Yeah.
capture. Do you already are you is
Yeah.
it already preset in your mind about how you're going to
Somewhat.
shoot it, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
magic happens and you get something even greater than what you had expected, because this is
Yeah.
beautifully shot. It really is, and the
Thank you.
lighting in particular. um
Yeah. The lighting specifically, I mean, I visited a museum like right before leaving, and it kind of like, though I knew the lighting that I wanted already, and honestly the it just being one window, like uh kind of informed a lot of the lighting. It's like,
right,
well,
right.
it's coming through the window, but I guess it was like how we positioned them, and maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. I really like drawing inspiration from a lot of different paintings, and I'm blanking on the different kind of techniques of lighting in like old classical paintings, but there's a lot of that in there.
That's what it felt like.
Um,
That's what it felt like.
yeah, yeah. That, I mean, that was honestly, we would have certain shots in the film that like me and Anthony would call the painting. The painting of the scene is like this, like kind of perfectly composed. Like, well, we don't know exactly how we'll get all of it. Like some we have worked out, some we don't totally yet. Some we kind of need to be informed by the actors and how they're going to feel attached to this. And that was the thing that kind of caught us off guard the most, that I'll get to. But the painting was like kind of the shot, when Kolbe, like as an example, when Kolbe comes and stands, right face to face against the commandant, to say like, hey, I'll take his place, like take my place. And there's on one side there's the prisoners that were like lined up still. There were prisoners that had already kind of been selected through, and then there's Kolbe, and the composition, Kolbe, Fritsch, and then between them was František, the man who was pleading for his life, who Kolbe traded for, and that I really wanted him to be in the middle,
Hmm.
and because it had some, there's some symbolism there with having this protagonist, antagonist, and then this like kind of, I'll take his place. This is the topic of what we're talking about here in the middle. So that was like that shot you'll see in the film. It's a bit of a longer shot for that scene, with a bit like, it's kind of like where all the tension builds. Like that was kind of, we referred on set and like through planning and pre-production. It's like, this is the painting of the scene. We had that through a number of scenes, but we got a lot of inspiration from movies like for composition in the cell. 12 Angry Men was probably I mean, that film is a masterpiece of cinematography. Um, and so we got a lot from that. I tried to lean into a lot of classical cinematography techniques, of like, oh, the lower angle means this, and this person's higher up and looking down on the, these kind of like dynamics. And I really tried to like kind of saturate my mind in that space, and we planned it all out, and I used like little Lego minifigures, and we tried to get the right dimensions of the cell, and figure out where the camera would be. We tried like I used like a software, like storyboarding software, and we planned it out a lot. And then we actually started to work with the actors in Poland, like actually blocking it out with them, blocking out the scene, and having them go through their lines. And as these actors were now people, like they were taking on these personalities that Anthony had written.
Mm,
They were then bringing light to, well,
right.
no, my characters would want to be in the corner. Like I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Like, and we had him over here, and it's like, no, I would want to be right there. I would want, and it's like, wow, yeah, actually that makes a lot of sense, because they had been thinking about their character only,
Right,
and they had been
right.
thinking about all of their characters, and he and I had been working together a lot, developing the visual language and everything. But so we had kind of like marinated in this space of like certain inspirations from different movies and things. And then once we were working with the actors in prep, it just all of a sudden clicked, like, oh well, Jonas goes there. You see Jonas always over at that like kind of bench area. That kind of I was telling a friend this earlier. We did not want that there. That we were trying to make this historically accurate as possible. And although the cell in real, if you go to Auschwitz, it's much smaller. The window's much smaller. There are just production limitations with our very small budget. But we actually tried to get that removed. That like kind of, it's like a little bench stoop. I'm not sure what it
Right.
was in the actual prison room that we were filming in, but it was going to be too expensive to remove it, so we left it, and then
And
it
it
became a thing.
and it
And I
went,
can't
yeah.
credit myself to that. I can't. Nobody can. It's like we just couldn't remove it, but then it became this thing that we used, and it sort of became this like symbolic altar of sorts.
Ah, interesting.
This place where like you know it has so much symbols. It's not just an altar. You can take with it what you want of what that's a symbol of, but we turned it into something, but we originally tried to get rid of it. And there's a number of things like that
Well,
that I
Andrew,
can't really take credit for.
I would love to continue. I know you have a lot more to say, but unfortunately, our time is up. So,
Oh no.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. But you've been a wonderful guest.
Okay.
Triumph of the Heart is streaming now, and you can go to give us the website where people can go and see where they can find Triumph of the Heart.
Yeah, triumphoftheheart.com, or that's our social media handle, all one word, Triumph of the Heart. You can follow us on all the things, and we'll post if there's anywhere you can see it in person still at this time. I'm not sure yet, but we'll be posting about it, and yeah, and I'm sure the show notes will have where you can
Great.
see it streaming.
Great. Well, everybody seek out you again. We need uplifting movies, and this is one, and it's a beautiful film. It's beautifully shot. The music is great, and I wish you much success with the film and congratulations on such a beautiful film. Have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much for
much.
being on the show.